G'day everyone and welcome back to the Bennett's Garage YouTube channel. Today we're working on this FC RX7. Alright, so if you're a subscriber, welcome back. If you're new to the channel, this is my channel where I basically run my own panel shop. I'm always repairing and respraying cars and car parts and all that kind of thing. And I'm also building my own cars, doing all kinds of stuff like that, so consider subscribing. Today I've got this 1986 Series 4 Mazda RX7. It was a fairly tidy car when it came in, but it did have some gremlins. We have pretty much sanded all of the, well, it had been resprayed, so we've sanded all of the respray off back to most of the original paint. We haven't bare metaled the whole car, but the bottom half of the car has been bare metaled because it was stone guarded, and stone guard has its place, but you know, from here down, I think is a little bit overkill. So we took all of the stone guard off. I got it nice and straight. Had one rust repair to do in the roof, which I've patched up nicely. I'll show some photos of that. Windscreen out, sunroof out, got a brand new aftermarket sunroof for it. And yeah, today I'm gonna be putting some primer on the car. Gonna talk you guys through that a little bit. All right, so the car, you probably noticed in the photos, had a body kit on it, which I've got to repair. Unfortunately, the body kit was basically installed by screwing it onto the car and then bogging over the screws, which is not how you want to install your body kit on your car. I basically went around, welded up all the holes that were in the sill panels, in the guards and everything. Even though you're not really going to see it when it's painted, I just get a little bit pedantic like that. You never know, someone down the track might take the body kit off the car, and then if there's holes underneath and dents and stuff that have been painted over, it just makes me look bad. So it's all been repaired properly. I've done all of the panel work with a nice fine filler and fine sandpaper, so there's no harsh scratches in the car or anything. It's pretty much all ready to get a nice coat of high build primer on there. And I'm also going to be spraying epoxy coat down before I put the primer on. So let's have a look at that. Okay, so it's a little bit dark around here by my paint bench. I apologize for that, but I'll just quickly talk you guys through the process. So what I'm going to be doing is putting down an epoxy coat. So once we sanded the car completely down and had all the bare metal and stuff on it, we epoxied the car. I've then done all the panel work on top of the epoxy. But there is a lot of it sanded off, a lot of spots have gone through to bare metal, so what we essentially need to do is seal that all up again before we put our high build primer on. So rather than epoxying the car, waiting for it to dry, sanding it all back, you can get what they call a wet on wet hardener. So we'll probably put a couple coats of this down. I'll just gauge it, see how it covers. Once it's nice and covered and sealed up with that wet on wet primer, that means that I can spray my high build primer straight over the top. And I'll probably put, you know, 3, maybe 4 coats of this on. I'll see how it comes out. I can pretty much gauge as it's going on, you know, how much I'm going to need to put on. But I think 3 coats is pretty much sort of the standard that you want to put on, because you don't want to have primer that's too thick, because that can lead to problems later. Okay, so I didn't capture the whole thing there on the time lapse, but the whole car is masked up. I want to get into it. It's getting pretty late. I want to get this done tonight, so it's about 9 o'clock at night at the moment. I'm just gonna set the time lapse up, get the primer on the car. Just quickly, I'm actually currently halfway through renovating my spray booth as well, so this has all just been recently constructed, and I've basically done a whole new rear wall and filter stack. So this is the first time spraying something with this new filter setup, so I'm very interested to see how it's going to work. I'm just going to quickly cut to a video explaining how it works and how I built it. Alrighty, so the way this works is pretty simple. It's a pretty simple idea. Basically, I just got a frame here with some chicken wire in it, and I got this bit, this panel's got chicken wire on it also, and the filter just goes on the back. That panel goes in, holds the filters in there. So yeah, it's a very basic setup. I could have made something nice, fabricated something nice up out of steel and all of that, but I really don't see the point. I'm eventually hoping to get a new spray booth, one day. So this is kind of just, for now, temporary, so to speak. All right, so yeah, as you can see from that video, this line here is where the wall used to be. So say this guard, I got these guards on a panel stand, I got this stuff here on a panel stand. Before, the wall would have been there, I wouldn't have had room to do this guard like this. But now I've got all this extra space to come in and spray it. And hopefully my filter setup should work pretty well. Let's get into it. All right, so I just got done with the epoxy. I've put 2 coats on there. I've decided that 2 is gonna be good. It's nice and covered. It's nice and even. It's nice and sealed up. So basically, this is really good practice for spray painting. Also, you kind of just I kind of like to just load the primer on there like I'm spraying clear coat and just let it flow. So now I'm gonna mix up my high build primer and give it 3 or maybe 4 coats, probably 3 of high build primer. Looking fresh. All right guys, so it's the next day. I was here pretty late last night doing this till about 11 o'clock. Rolled in this morning. The car is looking really good, really straight, primer laid down, nice and flat. Last thing I gotta do before I unmask it is just chuck a guide coat on there. So I chuck guide coat on there now. That's basically where you just put a fine mist of black over the panel, so when you're blocking it back, it highlights all the imperfections. And I'm gonna get into that, and then I'll fire up time lapse, unmask the car, and move on to the next part of the job. cast, got all the panels just loosely sitting back on there. I think I'm going to end off today's video there. Next video I'm going to be working on the body kit, and then after that I'll be rubbing it down and getting some paint on it. So if you want to see that, make sure you subscribe. If you want to know anything, feel free to comment below if you've got any questions or anything like that. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Let's see if she makes some rotary noises. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.